Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about the World Economic Forum, the Great Reset. We'll talk about XRP and XLM as well. If you're new to the channel, every once in a while I like to put a video out on the Great Reset and the New World Order because it falls in line with crypto as well. So top, World Economic Forum official, dangerous conspiracy theorists must be eliminated. A top World Economic Forum official has called for so-called conspiracy theorists to be banned from accessing the internet due to their dangerous belief that the global cabal of elites could control the world. Now, I mentioned this in an XRP video recently, but I didn't really give it much thought. The reason that they want this to happen is because nobody's believing their stories anymore. People are talking against climate change. They're talking against open borders. They're showing all of the problems going on in the world, and they're tying it right back to the global elite and the World Economic Forum. And these people no longer like that. So explain, why are Christians endorsing conspiracy theories about the World Economic Forum? But how far is it off from being a conspiracy fact? Now, we know the World Economic Forum openly talks about ruling the world. It's true that the World Economic Forum is openly advocating for large global corporations being more involved in how we are ruled and how we live. It positions this as being more ethical. In an article on the World Economic Forum website, founder Klaus Schwab describes it as stakeholder capitalism, which says that private companies should be trustees of society and are the best response to today's social and environmental challenges. You know, the same elites want me and you to give up our private property in the name of climate change while they continue to hold on to their property. It's so hypocritical. Is it planning to remove all property rights and take control of our land? This idea is not a plan. It was a prediction made in 2016 by the World Economic Forum and used in its own promotional video. It declares that in 2030, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Whatever you want, you'll rent. And that is becoming more and more fact every day. Even Ford Motor Company, you could lease a Ford vehicle. You used to be able to have the payoff option at the end of the lease. They did away with that. Other car companies are doing the same thing. Is it planning to take over the global food supply? There are big changes to farming proposed, though whether the World Economic Forum has influenced them is unclear. For example, in Holland, the government has planned to meet EU greenhouse emissions targets by radically reducing the amount of food, especially meat, that is farmed in the country. It's still coming from the World Economic Forum. Do they really want us to eat insects? Yes. But to be honest, this idea is gaining traction among environmentalists who believe we need to reduce the amount of meat we eat. Even the UN has advocated for bugs to become part of our diet. Listen, I'm going to continue eating steaks, but that's just me. Surely, the microchip conspiracy theory is a bit wild. The World Economic Forum has published a number of positive articles about microchips. It described paying by cash via an implanted microchip. Now, people will always be sold on the idea that this is going to make things easier. We're going to talk more about the microchip going forward. So remember this. Remember when you talk about a CBDC, right? You picture some building somewhere, a big, massive central bank. But they're saying it's going to be a chip under your skin. World Economic Forum says CBDCs must be implanted under your skin if you want to participate in society. Sorry, but I'm not getting the chip. And even Ripple was tied to the chip idea as well. Chip microchip implant is now implementing Ripple payment systems into the product. This means that the microchip owners will not be needing to connect their microchip to their bank accounts anymore. And that was talked about all the way back before 2018. So that conspiracy theory is a fact. The problem is they haven't pushed hard enough for it yet, but they're starting to do testing, in my opinion. Right here is part of that testing. The number of people on the queue to scan their eyes for Worldcoin. Now, if you don't know what Worldcoin is, it's the beginning of a universal basic monthly income. And people lined up for a long, the lines were massive. So I think this was a test to see how many people would line up for a Cbdc chip in the future, because I think this comes from the World Economic Forum as well. We are not comfortable with the idea of letting Worldcoin scan our eyes in exchange for their universal basic income altcoin, even though they believe artificial intelligence will take care of everyone. We value our privacy and don't want to give up my biometric data. While they might be offering incentives like free fries or $10 rebates for in-store purchases in Barcelona, it's still not something we wouldn't want to participate in. We pass on receiving our UBI in Worldcoin. And whenever they're offering you something, that's when you really got to be wary of things. And you got to wake up. This is not something that's good for you. Introducing Worldcoin token. Worldcoin is a new digital currency that utilizes the Stellar blockchain and iScan technology for security identity verification. Now, Stellar, I'm a little bit up in the air on a lot of things that Stellar's involved with right now, because I see the Ukraine as a testing ground for the United States and other countries. They're trying to push the Ukraine into a cashless society. Stellar's on board with their Cbdc. And I even think that this is part of the idea coming from the World Economic Forum, because once again, Stellar Development Foundation is a partner of the World Economic Forum. So again, that's my opinion. What's your opinion? Put it in the comments section down below. I think it's way too coincidental. Overheard at the World Economic Forum, we now have the ability to hack human beings. Take a listen to this.
Which means biological knowledge multiplied by computing power, multiplied by data, equals the ability to hack humans. If you know enough biology and you have enough computing power and data, you can hack my body and my brain and my life, and you can understand me better than I understand myself. You can know my personality type, my political views, my sexual preferences, my mental weaknesses, my deepest fears and hopes. You know more about me than I know about myself. And you can do that not just to me, but to everyone. A system that understands us better than we understand ourselves can predict our feelings and decisions, can manipulate our feelings and decisions, and can ultimately make...
You see why it's so important for them to get a chip in you? This way, when you own nothing in the future, you'll still be sitting there being happy, because they will control your thoughts. They will control your feelings in the future. And again, I'm never getting that chip, because a lot of people believe that chip is the mark of the beast system. And I'm still not totally convinced on that yet, but I'm getting there little by little. Then there's this. So what's the government doing about the outrageous price increases that are hurting all Americans, and especially those in the middle class? The wealthy can afford it. The poor receive help from the government, but those of us in the middle class are being left out. Biden has done nothing to help. Do you ever take notice how everything's going up? Plus, on top of that, the middle class gets taxed to death as well. They're trying to swallow up any type of savings that people have. Well, guess what? That's also part of the World Economic Forum plan. Take a listen to this.
To our discussion, which we had at dinner 2 days ago, the fourth industrial revolution has one big challenge. It is a holding out of the middle class.
We are the problem. We're holding up the fourth industrial revolution. And that's why they want to make us poor. That's why it's so important to keep holding your XRP so you can enrich yourself for the future. I still think you can avoid a CBDC possibly in the future if you have money. Because I think they want to put this chip into the poorest people. And how do they get it in them? By promising them a universal basic monthly income. You think the elites are going to get the chip? Absolutely not. The mass majority of people are distracted by Netflix and gossip, distracted by their 9-to-5 debt and their mortgage payment. They have very little clue what's going on behind the scenes because they don't have time to think about that. Not us. We have a shot to escape. And I always felt like investing in XRP, XLM, XDC, investing in what the elites are investing in or need to push forward that fourth industrial revolution. That's how we escape the system. And that's what makes sense to me. Because again, if you invest with the elites and you become one of the elites in the future, maybe you could avoid the CBDC. But let me know what you think. Put it in the comments section down below. The Federal Reserve is building the financial equivalent of the Death Star. Central bank digital currency corrupts money into a tool for coercion and control. Congress must swiftly ban, then criminalize any effort to design, build, develop, test, or establish a CBDC. Now, there's a lot of politicians here in the U.S. There's even states fighting back against the CBDC because they see FedNow as the beginning of a CBDC. And they're trying to get laws put in place ahead of it. The problem is that technology moves faster than our government. The problem is CBDC seems to be either largely ignored or accepted as inevitable. When you talk to people outside of crypto about a CBDC, they have no clue. Everybody that I've ever talked to that doesn't invest in crypto, they didn't even realize FedNow was coming. Most people right now don't even know FedNow is up and running. That's how blinded people are right now. And before you know it, all of a sudden, they're going to start with the poorest people, the people that get welfare, in my opinion. They're going to most likely tell them, listen, to receive your benefits, you're going to have to take a CBDC. Then they'll move on to people that are on disability and do the same thing. Before you know it, they're going to try to convince people, working people, that if they get a CBDC, their life could be easier. Maybe they'll offer them supplemental income. Even though they could still continue to work, they'll get more cash just for taking a CBDC. I see a lot of ways that they could roll this out that people will line up to get it. Biometric ID, digital ID plus CBDC equals the Great Reset 2030 agenda. 24/7 digital surveillance, New World Order from the World Economic Forum, plus the UN, been the plan for years. I honestly think the digital ID is far worse than a CBDC. The digital ID, it can stop you every step of the way. You want to leave a city, you can't leave that city because of your digital ID and your social credit score. Plus, if you try to get a job, it's going to have your entire work history, your health history attached to it. And it's also going to be tied to an AI system. So maybe you're driving your car and you think, okay, well, I'm just going to move out of this city. I'm moving somewhere else. Well, you might never be able to leave the city because they're creating 15-minute cities as well. But a lot of this still is theory. We're not 100% sure on every aspect of this, but little by little, each piece is becoming fact. It's no longer conspiracy theory when someone like Klaus Schwab is talking about this openly. When you see the presidents of countries and the leaders of every country in the world attending Davos year over year. And these are the same people pushing this through your local government, your state government, and your country government. And they're implementing this little by little, and it's been going on over time. The fourth industrial revolution is already here. It's been going on since 2011. We're getting into the final stages where they're going to start tying technology in with that revolution. And AI is going to be a major piece of that, as well as crypto, XRP, XLM, XDC, these ISO coins. That's why it's so important to continue holding on to them. This is your one shot. Enrich yourself while you still can, and wake up as many people as you possibly can to what's coming in the near future. With that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you. I'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.